My name is Remy Ham, and I'm an assistant teaching professor in the Department of Horticultural Science, in which I teach people how to grow food and also how to do small food production. But I also have a extension role as a farm to school specialist here and get to help educators and extension agents learn how to connect local foods and also school gardens and farm to school to their curriculums. Student involvement is so critical with school gardens. First, students have a voice. They have great ideas that sometimes exceed far beyond what even adults can think of. So, with our students, it's really important to have them to ask the big questions, help them to be critical thinkers, ask why should something go here? Or why does it grow this way? Or if something's not working, well, then, how do we change it, right? So there's so much value in student voice, but also giving them a sense of ownership of like, I helped to do that. It's a sense of ownership, something they can be proud of, but then also articulating that their voice matters. Their ideas matter. And as we're all learning, our schools are an environment in which they're learning about their science or their plants or all curriculum. It's great for them to also learn how to express their thoughts and express their ideas. And the school garden and designing and helping in that way is a great space for them to do that. Before this first seed is planted, or before you even start to build your first garden bed or container, it is important to get students' voice. Student activity and things to get students engaged in school garden design, it doesn't have to be a complicated process. Start with things that they're familiar with. So whether it's like Legos, that's an example, or you can even give them a kit of parts, give them, maybe what a raised bed will look like or what flowers will look like. So they can arrange it very simply, but be able to communicate in a way that is easy and attainable and that they can share their ideas. So having students to be a part of the design process does not have to be complicated. They can draw their own pictures, they can maneuver pieces around, but the big part is helping them be able to be a part of the process and helping them be able to communicate what ideas they like to see. So in Vance County, we did a great exercise with students in which we call it a design kit of parts, in which they had all the pieces kind of like printed out for them, standard pieces like a raised garden bed or some flowers. And we laminated the sheets so they could write on them. But the big thing of providing a kit of sorts with just standard assets and standard icons was to try to remove the pressure of artistic expression. The ideas are the things that are important, right? So they don't have to worry about, is my picture as pretty as my neighbor's? That's okay, because we all are working with the same assets, but it allows them to move pieces with freedom of expression and being able to write on those laminated sheets the ideas. And even to be able to name a garden, there's power in naming it, of connection. So encouraging students, okay, what garden name would it be? There are a great range of very straightforward names to really fun names, but those fun names, it brings joy and laughter and makes the design process really enjoyable, not only for teachers or agents that are going through the process with the students, but the students just have a good time in doing that as well. So I find that working with simplistic pieces in the design process with students makes it a more enjoyable and less stressful process. And it's a way that we can also identify common ideas. Like, oh, you also had your garden beds this way, or you also thought to put benches in this area or a butterfly garden. Maybe we can join those ideas together. So not only can they share their individual voice, but then we can work as a group, because it's our school community, to find the common threads that we can incorporate in a larger plan. So I think it's a great exercise to be able to provide them the pieces, but then allow the flexibility as well for them to really share those new ideas that come to mind. It's involved at the very beginning of the design phase and process helps not only with student connection with that garden space, but it also helps in their connection encouraging them wanting to come back, right? So there's a great power in that for if you started participating in the garden design, maybe you're in first grade or maybe you're in second grade, but then that same fifth grader who goes through elementary school is like, hey, this is a garden that I helped design. Teacher, can we go back? Or I'm invested in wanting to be a part of a garden club, or I'm invested in wanting to make sure that that garden thrives. So having them involved at the early stages helps also with sustainability because they're vested. It's a space that they look at and they're proud of and want to make sure also that it continues to thrive. When having your school garden, it's really important to think about visibility of that garden and how is it a part of your school's culture, right? So in visibility, it's important to have the garden in a space where students will pass by it often. So whether it's on the way to the playground and students are passing it every day, that also helps encourage them to want to maybe peek at the plants that they help to plant or implement, like what's growing in the garden, let's stop by. But also, when it comes to school culture, whether you're having an event or an activity, try to make the school garden a part of that, you know? Not that it's just a special event to go to the garden because we're doing a plant session in our curriculum, but are there math things that are happening or other community things in the school that are happening in which you can incorporate the garden? Visibility is key. So not only do you want to encourage the students to visit the garden when you're in your classroom setting, but making it visible to the larger community that might not even be planting in the garden in the school. So it's just important to kind of think about those things and find creative ways to include the garden in all facets of the school events.